Welcome to another podcast. This is a family podcast where we discuss everyday family issues. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, in today's podcast, we are going to look into negative peer pressure. And in our last podcast, we discussed about peer pressure among young people. So today we're going to discuss about the negative aspect of it, the negative peer pressure among young people. It's a commonly known topic. A lot of people knows that, and most times when parents, when they think about, when they talk about peer pressure, the thing that comes to their mind is always like negative peer pressure. That's what they normally see, So the reason I believe that this topic is very well known is because it's an issue that many parents are worried about, especially when they come across to their teenagers. Especially, you understand. So when you talk about that peer pressure, like I said earlier, parents commonly see peer pressure negatively, and the first thing they always think about is the group my child or the group their child is in. You understand? If they are up to no good, you understand? So they're always looking into that. So usually peer pressure is a phrase commonly used to refer actions that are not acceptable, such as drugs and alcohol,
Yeah. And in our last podcast, I said that negative peer pressure is when you're asking a teenager or anyone in your peer group to do something that is against a certain type of rules. And also something you could get in trouble for. And I gave an example of a teenage boy at a party, which his friend recommended him to go to. But at first, this boy was very hesitant and didn't want to go because it was late at night. But his friend started calling him a wimp and was taunting him. And the teenage boy was angry about it. And he ended up going to the party. All of his friends were there and they were all smoking and drinking alcohol. And since the teenager didn't want to be the odd one out, he started drinking and smoking too. Let's say that he ended up getting an addiction to alcohol and smoking, that he can't stop doing it, all because his friend was calling him a wimp.
Yeah, because we were calling him names, but you have to understand something, right? The only thing he could have done is to say, no, I'm not going. Guys, it's late. You understand? He should have found a way to give them an excuse, I can't go, maybe my parents or whatever. Look for any excuse that just to get him away from that, instead of going and following them to the party. And you have to understand as well that it's not everyone that can take pressure. There are some people that when they, like, for example, as they're calling him names, are you getting me? He will not like that. He just want to follow them and go. So the best thing to do is just not to put yourself into that situation whereby they'll pressure you to do something. Do you understand? That is what you could have done. But he didn't do that, and now he went to the party. Even getting to the party, he still have the option to say, no, I'm not drinking any alcohol. I'm not smoking. They will not force him to do that. Do you understand? But the same thing, like I said, he fall for the pressure as well. Peer pressure, start smoking, start drinking. That one smoke or one drink, from there, he start doing what? Taking more and more. It might lead him to become an alcoholic. You understand? Just because of that. Like you said, just because they call him a wimp or whatever. You should have just said no. And when he said no, you just say it as if that you mean it. You understand? So we're going to look into the negative peer pressure improper. Understand there's a lot of things that happens negatively through peer pressure, yeah?
And one aspect of negative peer pressure is drugs and alcohol, which I've said in the last podcast as well. But I'll use a different example this time. It's a very common thing in negative peer pressure, as your peers may deceive you and call you names just to make you take drugs or alcohol. For example, a teenager who always gets top marks in their class and studies hard every day, but gets bullied in school by his peers for always doing well in class and never having fun or having time to go out with them. And then the next time the teenager told them that he had enough, and he went with them after school, knowing that they had a test tomorrow, and it determines their final grade. So when they reached where they were going, the teenagers' peers started drinking alcohol that they had in their bags, and the teenager didn't want any part of it, so they told their friends that they were going home. But their friends started calling them a baby for not drinking a little alcohol, and they were saying that, oh, it wouldn't do any harm. Since the teenager wanted to look cool in front of their friends, they drank the whole bottle, and then they had more after that. And the teenager's friends were cheering them on. It was getting late, so they all had to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But when the teenager reached home, they started having headaches and they were vomiting all day. They were vomiting till the next day. And they couldn't go to school because they were sick. And they couldn't do the test. So it ended up being an automatic 0.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the teenager ended up getting even more pressured in the future. And he starts getting addicted to smoking and drinking and all that stuff. So all the work that they did in the past was for nothing.
Yeah, just for that little. Okay, yeah, don't worry, man. I'm going with you guys. Okay, don't call me names anymore. You understand? Just for them to accept that pressure, just going with them, joining the crowd, joining their friends. They just go, and you have to understand those ones already. They already get their drinks, isn't it? Inside their pocket or inside the bag, and they brought that out. Let them just to test it, and when they tested it, because he wants to feel that he belong. He just want the friends not to think that he's how will I say, he's a wimp, like you said. You understand? He finish all the whole drink without even thinking about the consequences or what is gonna happen, and they have a test the next day, right? Getting home, vomiting. From there, he couldn't go to the test. So all those months, he'd been studying for the test just for one day and few hours being with his friends, right? Everything just goes to waste. Understand? That's negative peer pressure. Like I said earlier, the only thing you could have just done is what? Not to put yourself into that situation where they can pressure you to do that. You understand? Look for an excuse. We have exam tomorrow, or we have test tomorrow. Guys, I'll join you next time.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. Do you understand? No, I'm not going. I have test tomorrow. Those are the things, little details. Just that. They could have avoided all those stuff. And now, because he missed the exam, or he missed the test, what happens now? He take it as normal thing. After all, there's nothing there. He start missing the next ones from there. It's not concentrating in class anymore. Mm-hmm. From there, it's someone that was up there in the class, that was up there in his studies, now he's going down because of what? Negative peer pressure. That's why it's not really something that parents have to look up for.
And another aspect of negative peer pressure is stealing. In some instances, a teenager may be influenced to steal something like the newest game that just came out that his friends have and his parents don't want to get for him. So his peers are influencing him, saying that, oh, if your mom and dad won't get you it, just take it from the shop. And his friends could have lied to him and said that they stole their one as well. So that would make the teenage boy even more sure that he should steal it from the shop. And let's say that he did try and steal it and got caught by a worker in the store. And they called the police, and he would get a criminal sentence. He would get not a criminal sentence. I mean, he would get a criminal record, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he will. But one thing about peer pressure, especially when teenagers are in a group, understand? Sometimes the good and the bad ones, all of them are going to be together. Yeah, but there's something that you have to understand is this. The bad people, those ones they call the bad boys, yeah, they don't get caught. When they're inside the shop, when they're inside place, they want to steal something. They don't do it. They always tell those other ones to do it. You understand? Like you said now, you're giving us an example. The teenager just following them, this guy saying I go to the shop, right? Him that went with them, do you understand what I mean? They're going to tell him to get what? to steal in order for him to do what to belong. Do you understand what I mean? And maybe he hasn't done it before. And the first time he wants to try it, what happens?
He gets caught.
He get caught. And those ones might be telling him that they'll be doing it alone. Maybe they've never even done it. Most times they maybe be going to inside the shop and coming out. But they use this one now for an example just to try it. You get caught. From there, you're going to get criminal record. And once you get criminal record, you know how it is. It's going to affect you in future. Understand? So that's the issue. And what we're talking about, or what we're saying, is that the best thing or what to do when you're speaking or tell as a parent, you're talking to your teenagers, so you're talking to your young adult, the only thing they have to do is what? Not to put themselves in a situation where they would be pressured to do what they don't want to do. Once you see is a crowd of people or crowd of teenagers, something they're always up to no good. Get away. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Don't put yourself into that situation whereby they pressure you to do something. It might not be your day that day. You're gonna get caught. And once you get caught, you can't say that you're ignorant about what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Police will never even think about that. You say that is your first time you're doing it. Do you understand what I mean? You get caught. You face the consequences. Yeah.
And another example of negative peer pressure is bullying. This is something you don't hear people talking about that much but negative peer pressure is solely used around bullying. As an example, let's say that a young teenager just joined a new school and they want to fit in, so they start talking to the popular crowd and they start hanging out with them and going everywhere with them. But what the teenager didn't know was that if they wanted to keep being in that popular crowd,
Mm-hmm.
they would have to start copying what the group was doing, even if they were bullying someone or doing something bad. So the thing is, since that teenager was new to the school and wanted to be popular and wanted to make friends, they had to be a follower and copy what the group was doing, even if they had to bully someone.
Yeah, they have to, because they will use you an example. They will tell you, okay, come on, right? Come on, do it. Kick him or do something. You understand? Mm-hmm. They call you names. Because now the same thing that we're saying, he or she is the ones to fit in. He wants to be accepted. Do you understand? So whatever they tell that teenager to do, he or she will do it just to prove that, yes, I'm capable of doing this. Are you getting me? They might use them as well to bully others. Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. So it's part of it. You know, the same scenario. You shouldn't put yourself in a situation whereby they pressure you to do something. Do you understand? The best thing is to do what? Look for an excuse. Say something just to get away from there. I know it's not easy. Sometimes they call the person's names. Everyone's going to start looking at you, or laughing at the person. Do you understand what I mean? But at the end of the day, you just have to get away from there. Mm-hmm. Get out. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself into a big trouble. That's negative peer pressure.
Yeah. And the last aspect of negative peer pressure is gang culture. We've spoken about this in one of our previous podcasts. And another example could be that a teenage boy is being bullied and made fun of every day, and he doesn't have any peers or friends. So as he was going back home from school, someone, let's say his cousin, who has seen him being bullied in school, goes to him and tells him that there's a way to stop them laughing at him and to make them respect him. So his cousin takes him to a group of young men, and the teenage boy was a bit scared because he knew that they were trouble. But when he said that he was fine and that he wanted to go home, his cousin and the group of men told him that he shouldn't go and that he would get loads of money and would be respected by everyone in his class. And as the teenager heard that, he was a bit hesitant at first. He didn't know if he should listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But he started listening to them, and then he stayed. So they started lying to him about how the gang was a brotherhood and they would have each other's backs. And in the following weeks, he started hanging out with them after school, and was then told to start selling drugs, so he could make some money and show it off to his classmates. So after a few months of doing that, he was caught by the police, and he was sent to court for selling drugs. And his cousin and the young men lied to the police, saying that they didn't know that he was doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. I said earlier as well that in most instances, you find out that the ones that always, maybe the ones that you see that you say that this child is a bad child, you understand? Most times, they don't get caught because they don't do it. Do you understand what I mean? They always influence others to do things for them.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always influence others to do things for them. So, bottom line, the child not supposed to, though he was bullied and everything, are you getting me? Could have found another way, or he might talk to his parents or talk to the teachers about that. He's sort of confined in all those ones. And those guys are not up to no good. Do you understand? See what he leads him to. As well, there's even with this as well, there's a story I want to talk to you about. When I was in my days here in school, there's one of our friends, back in Africa, they have all this the same thing, gang culture and all that. Understand? So what happened is that in the university, these guys, what they normally do, they will come from school, they will go to the city, those shops. What they normally do get to the shops, it's like they start taxing them. They're telling the shop owners that they have to give them money. That if they don't give them money, they start like intimidating them to collect money from them. So they do that every time. Sometimes twice a month, sometimes once in a month. They will just pop in 3 or 4 of them. They go into the shop like that. Okay, we need your money. Give us money. Something like a sort of stealing, but they would demand the money from you. So they've been doing this for a while. You know what happened? Without knowing that the people around the area, I mean the people that sell in the shops, they've already talked to themselves because they have union anyway. So what they did, they form a vigilante group. What the vigilante group, what they do is that caught stealing, people that are stealing from the shop or something. If you want to come down to steal, instead of calling the police, the vigilantes they will catch you or something like that. So these guys, what happened? This time, there were only 2 of them. They just came to the shop there to come and the same thing, demand money to intimidate those guys and everything. So sometimes they will come down, they will show them guns and all that just to intimidate those people to collect the money. So this time when they came down, what happens? It was a bad time. Those people that got the shop, they raised an alarm. Every other one of them, all of them come out straight away. The vigilantes, right? The 2 of them, they get caught. It's not like here in abroad where something like that happens. They will call the police. They hand you over to the police. Once it gets to the vigilante, that's what they call jungle justice. Straight away, what did they do? They killed them straight away there. What they did, they put a tie on them. They put fire on them. They get burnt. That's the way their life went. It's peer pressure. What happens? Those are good boys. They went to school to study. But because of the gangs and group, they feel that this is the best way in order for them to make more money. Do you understand what I mean? And what did they use the money for? Take care of girls, smoke, drink, all the stuff we're saying about. Those are peer pressure. Are you getting me? It might happen in a situation whereby this one person might just you just joined the group or you wanted to fit in. Then they will say to you, okay, now you have to go with us to get to something like that. Okay, what if it was just the first day the person went there? What happens? It's gone, isn't it? It's going to get killed. So those are the things about negative peer pressure. It's not only about young adult. It's not only about teenagers that it happens to. It happens to adults. It happens to parents. The same. Some parents, they can have negative peer pressure because of the friends they're hanging around with. Do you understand what I mean? Their families might be divided because of the friends they meet. Someone can influence them to start acting negatively towards their partner, towards their family, or towards their kids. You see that some parents, you see them, some fathers, some mothers, they leave their children and go without thinking about the consequences of what is going to happen because of what? Peer pressure. What happens? Maybe they show them money, they follow money and just leave them. Do you understand? All of this is just part of it. Negative peer pressure is everywhere. It happens. Like we said in the last podcast, it doesn't have age. Peer pressure is both young and old. It's always there. The difference is how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? And the most important thing is what? Not to put yourself in that situation whereby you be pressured to do something that you don't want to do. You know? So for parents that are out there that have young adults, all you need to do is what? To find a way to relate to your child. You know, once you notice that peer pressure, especially they start acting weird or start acting negatively or start misbehaving, relate to them, talk to them, find out ways that you can support them. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because it's something that doesn't start immediately. It's a gradual process. It's like grooming. I get what I'm saying? Because they start trying to fit in. You see it from their dressing. They start changing the way they behave. If you're a parent that is watchful, that is observant, you will notice that something is going on. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. And once you get to that stage, try to support the child, try to support the teenager, try to talk to them instead of being judgmental. And when you're judgmental, calling names, what happens? You're pushing them away. And remember, they already have a family, which is the peers, the people that are influencing them. Mm. And when you push them away, what happens now?
They'll go to
They'll go to their family. Are you getting me? And there, you lost your child. So the best thing is just what? Call them closer and talk to them and support them. You know. And also, we need to encourage positive peer pressure.
Yeah. Thank you for staying with us till the end. Please like and share this podcast.
And don't forget that family is everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.